Holy shit, that is a big ass gas tank. Alright, what's up everybody? Today we're doing a little girlfriend swap. So Thomas, he's right there in front of me. He's going to be riding my bike, and I'm going to be riding his bike, which is obviously set up for endurance with the enlarged tank. I want to say thanks to Jason, actually, the conversation I had with him, he prompted me to kind of talk about this topic here for a little bit. Anyways, here we go, getting ready to head out on track and riding his bike for the first time with this massive gas tank. And this is all about, really using your controls to stay in control, right? And what do I mean by that? So we could talk about all the different controls that we have on a bike, right? We can talk about gas, the brakes, your input, your body inputs, and everything. But really, I think for simplicity, we would focus on really the braking thing. Like I said, talking with Jason earlier kind of prompted me to get on this conversation. Anyways, so this is my first time out on this bike with the big tank. I rode this bike one time. It's my first time riding a new R6 at Jersey a couple weeks ago, but this is my first time with the big tank. I look behind him, I see Thomas is already obviously up to speed. As he passes me on the brakes, it makes me look bad. It's fine. Because right now I am honestly just feeling this bike out. I don't know how big this tank is. It's got to be north of 7 gallons, but it's big. And so she's kind of a big girl, and it takes a little bit more effort to get it to turn left and right here, especially with the full tank. So this being the out lap, I'm just kind of feeling this out. Like I said, I got about 10 minutes riding this bike with a stock tank on it before, but this is my first time in the endurance setup, right? So big deal, right? What does this mean in terms of using your controls and all that jazz? So I like the helmet-mounted camera because it captures what I do a lot with the front brakes, and so I realized that throughout the course of any given video, there's numerous topics that you could be talking about for the same video. So rather than talk about 1,000 different things, I was really just going to focus on the brakes here on this one, right? And really how I adapt on a bike that I have very limited laps. I probably rode this thing for about 10 laps total before this video. So this is still relatively new. Like I said, prior to that, I've never ridden a newer R6, right? So I'm just kind of feeling this stuff out on the fly. Alright, first flying lap into turn 3. Bike's feeling pretty good. Got a lap underneath the bike, feeling pretty confident with the brakes, especially like I said with that extra fuel load by the bigger tank. You can definitely feel it under braking, that's for sure, and especially on the transitioning from left to right. So I'm going to follow Thomas here, coming up out of 6, going into 7. Definitely a big braking difference in terms of power and lever travel between the two bikes, but it still feels good, right? The lever quickly gets softer because the stock master is more susceptible to brake fade, but that's just something you're going to have to learn and adapt with whatever motorcycle that you're riding, right? Each motorcycle that you may have, your bike, your friend's bike, might not be perfect, right? But don't forget that those brakes are there to ultimately serve one big key purpose, and that's to help you with your bike direction, right? Obviously, yes, you want to slow down, but might I offer to you that slowing down is actually just getting yourself some direction for the next corner. So, food for thought. Another way you could look at using your front brakes is view them as your radius adjuster. Yamaha Champions Riding School always talks about how radius equals miles per hour. So if you find yourself consistently missing your apexes, it's more than likely an indicator that you're rushing a corner and you're going into the corner too fast, which is leaving you with that larger radius, which is causing you to miss that apex. Now Jason and I, we were discussing, he had an issue with, he was turning in too early. So that is not very common. It's usually the other way around. But after talking with him, we discussed, again, radius equals miles per hour, and maybe he's using the brakes too much and he needs to start working on carrying more roll speed through the corner. You'll notice as I go down into 5 here, look how long I'm on the front brakes. I'm holding that all the way pretty much until the apex because I want to get to that direction. I want to be able to hit that apex. I needed to tighten up my radius a good bit. For you riders that have been to pit race, I'm sure by this time you've probably seen somebody lose the front there on the exit of turn 5. More often than not, it's because they rushed the entry into 5, missed that apex, and then in order to compensate to try to finish that corner so they don't run off track, they're adding and using way more lean angle than they need to, and they simply just tuck the front. Again, that's something that's a very easy preventable crash that could have been mitigated just by using your controls, in this case your brakes, to slow your bike down and get a little better direction, therefore having to use less lean angle. Coming down the back hill here, you notice I'm going to go ahead and cover the front brakes just in case, because with this traffic, if I needed to slow up and adjust my radius, I was ready to do so. Carrying the brakes a good bit longer than I usually do going into that turn 17 there. The entry is a little slower than I would do on open track, but again, that's the beauty of using your control to stay in control. And again, to reiterate, the most important thing is maintaining that positive control of your motorcycle. So if you find yourself little sketch, a little out of control, a little out of shape, missing apexes here or there, that's your first warning indicator that, hey, maybe I need to back off a little bit, despite how good or bad the brakes may be here. So coming up on this traffic, you're going to notice I go far to the right to get around this rider, and he's on the line where I want to be, so I'm having to brake a hell of a lot more than I usually do. But notice I'm still braking all the way to the apex, and I'm still braking until I get my direction down. And again, do not want to give up that apex for the sake of just getting around a rider. Ultimately, what I want to leave you with is be adaptable and learn to recognize when you are approaching the limits of either yourself or the motorcycle, or a combination of. I hope you found this helpful, and let me know what you think. Thanks.